one to left field. Cranks it to the stands. Sakala, Sakala, Sakala. Eugenio Suarez with his 12th home run. And that's number 28 against the Cubs. He drills this team.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of Late Night Reds Talk. We are doing this on our YouTube channel. I know we normally do this on Locker Room, but we had a special guest, so we had to make this work. And we got a really cool, exciting thing talking some Reds with some major baseball talent today, obviously. And let's go ahead and introduce our panel, of course. My name being Tim Daniel. My partners in crime, as always. First off, my man from Red Lake Nation, Mr. Nick Kirby. How are you, bud?
I'm good.
It's nice that we can do this and I can see your face.
I know this is weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cool.
And also joining us on a very special day. 13 years ago today, this man made his major league debut. This is Carlos Guevara. Carlos, happy anniversary, man.
Appreciate it, bud. Happy to be here. I'm doing good. It's a good day.
Awesome. We're so pumped that you celebrated your anniversary with doing this with us, man. I know you meant to. So
yeah.
It's perfect. And of course, joining us here, you can check him out on Fox. He has his own excellent podcast called the Flippin' Bats Pod. He's an MLB analyst. This is Mr. Ben Verlander. Ben, what's up, man? Thank you for taking some time to talk some Reds baseball ball teams with us.
Of course, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so before we get into it, man, talk a little bit about Flippin' Bats because you've had quite the run with it so far. I know you just had Rachel Luba on recently. You're getting your name out there pretty well with your pod. So what's the dynamic of your pod for the people who haven't listened to it yet?
Yeah, I just think for so long, baseball has kind of been like in the dark ages with how it's been portrayed and represented. And it's just all about showcasing the fun side of baseball. And, the title of it is Flippin' Bats. The game is so exciting these days with guys like Tatis and Acuna and Ohtani. And, the list goes on. And it's just baseball is different now than it was 5 years ago. But we still have the same sort of people talking about it, a bunch of 50, 60-year-olds. And I just want to bring a fresh, younger voice to baseball and showcase just how fun it is.
We like it. And that's why we had you on, because we still, we here in Cincinnati still fight the batting average gods. So, yeah. So talking about the dark ages, let's talk about Reds baseball. Let's talk about some great pitching, right? Right? So first off, kind of get your curiosity, because we know this team is definitely, depending who you're talking to, they're either where people thought they were or they've completely underperformed. Obviously, you have major guys out of the lineup on injury: Votto, Moustakas, Senzel. They've battled injuries all year. Sonny Gray was out to start the year. Michael Lorenzen's out. Luis Castillo's obviously struggled, and the bullpen has had a revolving door. From you, where does this team performing so far to where you thought they would be?
Yeah, I'm on the they're underperforming train. I think this team is really talented. I think they have a great offense, and it hurts when you lose, obviously, the reigning Cy Young Award winner. So I didn't think that they would be an elite team by any means, but I actually thought they had a chance to compete in this division. And look, I don't think they don't by any means, but I certainly think they're underperforming. I mean, you get guys like Winker and Castellanos that are having the years they're having. You would hope that they're in a little bit better position than they are right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, obviously, like we talked about. So did you actually, curious, in your time in the Tigers organization, did you brush shoulders with Castellanos ever?
Yeah, so I played on the same team with Nick for a couple of years when he was with the big league team, and then when I played in some big league spring training games. So I know Nick quite a little bit. Yeah.
What is your reaction to this monster season he's had so far?
I'm not surprised. I being around Nick for so long, I know how much he works at his craft, and he's just a freak. The guy rakes, and it's impressive to watch him hit. It's impressive to see him in the batting cages putting in the work that he does, and I'm happy to see him having the success he is on the field. I mean, the guy's hitting 350 in the big leagues, and that just doesn't happen. So I'm happy for him. And that's kind of been my thing with Nick is he always rakes and he's not great in the outfield. But as long as you hit 300 or 350 like he's doing, you're always going to have a spot.
Guys, you want to jump in with anything?
Ben, what do you think the Reds should be looking to do the rest of the season? Do you think this is a team that if they can get a couple games closer should be buyers? Do you think they should be looking to be sellers? What's your take on what the Reds should do from a national perspective?
I think we're going to learn a lot about that in the next month. You know, they have a bunch of very talented pieces, but they also can win. So if they can turn it around and get to 500 or a little better, it's going to be hard to start selling off guys. And then I think about Castellanos, for instance, like even if they don't start playing better, he's having an MVP caliber year, and it's tough for an organization to just trade away a guy that could potentially win MVP that's on your team. So I definitely think in the next month we'll learn a lot about the direction that this team wants to go and will go.
Yeah, the Reds have the 10 of their next 13 games are against the Cardinals and Brewers. So, I mean, that should give us some direction. I mean, I'm sure they'll go, 6-5.
Yeah, but if they, to your point, if they go, 10-1 or 9-2, then that immediately puts them back towards the top of this division, at least within reach. And then you're buyers. And next thing you know, you're getting, it's not a secret. Luis Castillo has not been having the year that I think he's capable of. And I think most people think he's capable of. But he's certainly a piece that if they go 1-10 in those games, that I think this team could look drastically different. And I think he's probably the first to go.
I think Luis Castillo probably has a lot bigger market than most Reds fans would think right now.
Yes, I agree.
A lot of teams would like his services.
I agree.
So would you look at a guy like, we've kind of talked a little bit a few weeks ago about Tucker Barnhart. Obviously he's had a really good hitting year. We know how good he is behind the plate, and you're starting to see, Tyler Stevenson, who's, although Alvado's out playing first base, kind of the guy they have to have as their catch of the future. Is he someone you could potentially see like teams are going to be looking at? Because we know he has an option at the end of this year for about 7.5. And so we don't necessarily expect they'll be picking that up with Stevenson kind of in the waiting. But what do you kind of see for like what could possibly be for a Tucker Barnhart?
Definitely the better he plays, the better it is for the Reds, whether it's because they're winning games and get back in this division or teams looking to buy at the deadline, which absolutely anybody's going to want to pick up a guy like that. So I definitely think if they continue on this path, I mean, they're seven games out of first place right now. So if we get another month into the season and they're still 5+ games out of first, I think they become sellers, and he's certainly on that list. But it really is great to see him having the year that he's playing, and it's going to be an interesting situation when Votto's back. I don't know exactly how long he's out for, but when he comes back, what do you do back there? Do you play the young guy that you expect to be the future, or do you play the guy that's hot right now and playing great baseball?
Well, Votto's in Louisville tonight rehabbing. We were talking about before we came on here. He's wearing number 47 tonight, which is very weird.
47, but he's that's fitting for him, honestly.
That's a lefty reliever number right there, 47.
Yeah, 100%.
That was a Cueto number. We can give some credit there. So, yeah, and then obviously, we've talked about these guys overperforming, underperforming, this and that. Obviously one name who's kind of popped up is Eugenio Suarez, another former Tiger prospect. And
yeah, I was close with Suarez. I like him a lot. He's my first season in the off season. I was down there in instructional league, and him and I were together, and I love that guy. He's a great guy.
So you've seen him play shortstop like before the big leagues.
Yes, when I was in instructional league with him, he was playing shortstop. Yeah.
Was it like this?
It was I would say he was a good fielder, but there was often times where he would come up to throw to first and it was 50-50 where it was going. And then he moved over to third and became better. So look, he's not. I don't think he's cut out to be a big league shortstop. I think he does fit better over at third base. But you got to do what you got to do. But I do know the guy rakes, and it was frustrating to see him get off to the start that he did because we all know what type of hitter he can be. He's an all-star caliber player, and he didn't start off the year that way.
I can tell you, especially not necessarily to speak for Nick and Carlos, but we are guys who have been campaigning that it's gonna turn around, and we've seen him go in the leadoff spot the last couple of days actually, and he's kind of hit pretty well in the leadoff spot. I don't know if that's just putting a band-aid on a wound or something that could really fix what's going on with having Winker and Castellanos behind you, but it's been fun to see. It's been nice to see him kind of get a pep in his step again.
Yeah, I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's definitely it's just like a change, like I remember when I was my junior year in college, my head coach came up to me and was like, "Hey, you're going to hit leadoff." And I was like, "I've never hit leadoff before." He's like, "Well, I want you there. I think we need you there." And next thing I know, things just take off. And baseball is such a mental game that there's really no rhyme or reason to why you have success or to why you fail. It's so mental. So if you stick him in the leadoff spot and he plays well, just run with it,
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It kind of reminds me of last year whenever Joey got his benching, and me knowing Joey like through and through, I know to him he didn't care. He knew that him sitting 4 or 5 games wasn't going to make a difference. He knew he was there, and when he came back, he just so happened to hit. But that kind of speaks back to the same point that Ben was talking about. It's just one little thing that kind of gives you a different mindset, puts you in the right place, and that could be the same case with Eugenio right now. I mean, I don't think he changed his approach that he started batting leadoff, but just something a little bit different, and now he's kind of cooking a little bit.
Yeah, since the start of 2019, MLB leaders in home runs: Eugenio Suarez, Pete Alonso 76. Next is Acuna at 72, and Trout at 70. So, I mean, I don't think a third of a season's enough to give up on Suarez. Now the defense at shortstop, yeah, we said that on the first day of the season. But there's no reason to give up on his bat. He's
Yeah, I know. Like God bless Nick's Twitter mentions, because he's pretty active with like Reds fan base, and I think every time Suarez has an error, I think his Twitter mentions say Jose Garcia, Jose Garcia, Jose Garcia, Jose Garcia.
That's not his name anymore.
Is it not?
No, he
changed his name.
Did I miss this?
Yeah.
What?
Don't get married and go to Disney World, man.
I guess so.
Out on Red's top prospect changed his name. I don't even know. Carlos, you're gonna have to say it. I'm not gonna butcher it.
I don't remember what it was.
Starts with a B. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Is it like that summer when like Mike Stanton was all of a sudden Giancarlo Stanton? Is that what this is?
I think it's the same.
I kind of made a joke about it, and somebody sent me something on Twitter, but I think it was because his mom passed away. That's why he was out a couple of games, and he's decided to take her last name.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I can get with that. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even have a pronunciation. It's Barrero.
Oh, Barrero.
Or
Barrero.
The Americanized way to say it.
Yes. Ben, out of curiosity, to kind of get your question, for someone who kind of covers Major League Baseball on a national landscape, talking about these red shortstop issues, the name Trevor Story comes up a lot. We have all been very open on like, don't hold your breath on that. While we do expect the Rockies will be selling because they're the worst road team apparently in baseball history right now, we don't necessarily expect Trevor Story to be the name. Is there any maybe under the radar names you can see the Reds trying to acquire at shortstop to kind of try to fix that for the time being?
Yeah, I don't think as Reds fans you should want Trevor Story. I think he's going to go somewhere that that's going to have to give up a little bit to get him, and that is ready to win this year. And I don't think the Reds are a shortstop away from being successful and making the World Series. I think it's a little more than that. And so I don't think you give up some prospects to get them. But, some pieces that I would have thought would have been a fit, and I actually thought about this before the trade to the Brewers happened, was Adames. I think him going to short and playing with the Reds is just a perfect fit. And I know him and Suarez know each other, and I think having them at short and on third would have been a good fit. But, obviously that's not going to happen now. But I don't know what the answers are to their shortstop issues, but I don't think it's Suarez.
I think we would all agree with that.
Yeah, we were big on Willie Adames this off season, and I can't believe the Brewers got him for as little as they gave up. That there must be something that I'm missing on Adames.
I'm sure there is, because you never second guess whatever the Tampa Bay Rays do in a trade. So I just don't say I don't see it, because we don't, but they do, and it'll turn out to be an all-star. I can tell you that.
Don't miss often.
Yeah, I'm guessing Wander Franco is a lot closer than they're putting on to being major league ready.
Yeah, but their shortstop now has come up and played well, and everybody was saying Wander Franco is about to come up. They got rid of Adames, and then they have this other guy that comes up and is playing great at the big league level, and it's like they just have prospects for days, it seems. And apparently it's because people just keep making trades with them that they don't think are any good, and then it turns out they're great.
They kind of have that, like, before the Kyrie Irving, Danny Ainge Celtics thing going. I know it's a weird day to use this example with the Celtics news. Where, like, anytime the Celtics made a trade for a guy, you were like, okay, what do they know that we don't?
Yep, 100%. That same feel.
I feel like when you were in the Tigers organization, you guys were kind of like that too, though.
Yeah, but kind of like in the wrong direction. Like, I remember, they made that trade for it was actually Suarez, and we got Alfredo Simon or Simone, whatever it is, back. And it's
the bloated corpse of Alfredo Simone.
Right. And then it's like, why did we just do this? Now we have a pitcher that, had a little bit of success and isn't near that pitcher anymore.
So kind of curious your thoughts here, and I know, so put in context, Carlos is very close to Joey Votto from their time in the Reds organization together. So we kind of talk a lot about Joey being big fans, obviously. And you were in the Tigers organization with Miguel Cabrera. And obviously, he's aged, and we've seen Joey kind of age a little bit. We're seeing Joey hit the ball hard, and, Cabrera's Miggy's Miggy. He's an all-time great. Do you remember, like, kind of there's that, like, early 2000s where those guys were compared to each other a lot as far as, like, their skill set and their talent levels?
Yeah, it's tough to watch these days, especially, like Votto still, you watch him and he's still productive and hitting balls hard. And not that Miggy's not, he's just like, I grew up watching Miggy. I grew up with my brother on the team, and it was Justin and Miggy, and I was, in awe of him and still am. And to watch him now, it's tough to watch, and it's tough to watch him. It's same with Pujols, like I grew up falling in love with baseball, watching Albert do what he was doing. He's one of the best of all time. And to watch him now, he's still gets hits, but he's struggling around the bases. He struggles at first. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch your childhood heroes turn into guys that are just hanging on by a limb.
Yeah, my all-time favorite player is Ken Griffey Jr., so I totally get that. Yeah.
Ben, obviously the Reds would be your favorite to win the division this year, but let's put them aside. And I'm assuming you're going to put away the Pirates as well. Of the other three teams, who do you think is the favorite of the other three?
I think this division has turned out to really surprise some people. I think when the Cardinals acquired Arenado, it was kind of, that's the one thing that's going to put them over the top, and they're going to win the division. And then the Brewers come, and I was high on the Brewers coming into the season, and then you look at them, and any team that has a Woodruff and Burns at the top of the rotation is going to be really good. I mean, that could potentially be the best 1-2 punch in all of baseball. And now you have the Cubs coming out of nowhere playing incredible baseball, and you have a bunch of guys with chips on their shoulder saying, look, we're the core of this Cubs team. We don't, why would you trade us away? And Bryant's having an MVP type year. But I think when I look at it, I still think the Cardinals, after acquiring Arenado, are the team to beat. And with a guy like Jack Flaherty at the top of that rotation, I think they're built to win. And whatever it is they do there, they just have a culture that's built to win games. But I'll tell you, I love what the Cubs are doing there. And since you said Reds aside, if I had to root for somebody in that division, I'm rooting for the Cubs because they're still really exciting to watch. And it's awesome seeing Javi Baez doing what he's doing this year and becoming that player that I think we all knew he was. He just would go through some struggles, but he's super exciting to watch, and the rest of the Cubs team is as well.
I think for the sake of the Reds, if the Reds aren't gonna make the playoffs this year, I think you want to root for the Cubs, as painful as that might be, because you want them to get nothing for their stars. You don't want them to, if you're not going anywhere, you don't want them to be able to trade and get more pieces and be set up better down the road. So I guess Cubs if it's dirty, but
R.I.P. to your mentions, Nick.
Yeah. Nick's a Cubs fan.
What's that like handshake meme where it's like it'll be like the Reds, the Cubs, and it's like got nothing for a roll to Chapman. As he's back with the Yankees and just being ridiculously dominant still. So kind of get your thoughts here, Ben. I don't know how much you're following as far as the minor leagues. I'm sure you're probably keeping a keen eye on Chattanooga to see what Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo are doing.
I'll tell you, those guys are exciting though. I love watching those guys and seeing. I do keep up with them. I can't say I watch all their starts, but I do definitely keep up with them.
Is there something like, I'm asking, this is a question you and Carlos can both answer because you guys have been in minor league systems. You've seen this, you've seen these guys come up. When you see a guy like that in Double-A, and Carlos has kind of made the mention of like, if you can play in Double-A, you can play in the majors. And it's something like I always use in arguments now. So thank you for that, my friend. I appreciate it. What is kind of like the track you do on a guy? I know it's different for every prospect, but like, here when we have Jeff Hoffman in our rotation, obviously Reds fans are saying, well, why can't Hunter Green pitch? He's got to be better than them now. Like what is the trajectory we do for guys in that situation?
Well, it's weird in baseball as a whole what they do with their prospects. And it's because the system as a whole is screwed up. You have guys that are talented enough to come up and play right now, but for fear of not starting their time too early, for fear of being able to keep them for an extra year, you see guys not get called up when they should. And that's frustrating to see. But I think, with a team that I look at the Tigers, for instance, they haven't been good for a few years now and started calling up guys like Casey Mize and Scooble and all these guys. And now they're starting to have success. So sometimes when guys are dominating at the minor league level, I think you just call them up and get them that experience. So when your team is good and when your team is ready to compete and you do put those pieces around them, they're already there. And it's not like, all right, let's throw these guys into a fire right in the middle of a playoff race. I actually like doing it like the Tigers have done. And I look at a guy like Mize who looks to be a star and had a sub-2 ERA in May and looks to be turning into a stud. And when the Tigers do add pieces around him in a couple of years, he's already going to be there and he's already going to be successful in the big league. So that's what I like saying, as opposed to guys waiting so they don't start time clocks too soon, which I think sucks for everybody involved.
Yeah, we went through that with Mike Leake in 2010. Remember that whole shindig when he came up before he even played in the minors?
He's a rare breed, though.
Yeah, he was pretty terrific.
Yeah, just thinking of a rotation of Castillo, Gray, Malley, Green, Lodolo. I mean, that could be as soon as next year. So, I certainly hope the Reds brass, if we do unfortunately get into a selling time, which I'm not there yet. I'm certainly not there yet. But if we do, I hope they're thinking about next year and the potential that this team would really have a really really good 1 through 5 rotation.
Yep, I agree.
So Ben, to put in context, Nick is like, don't give up, Mister. Don't give up on the Reds. Like he will fight to the end.
I did
And
not
I
give
love
up
it.
last year. I did not give up last
No,
year.
you didn't. You didn't. Not at one bit.
Get off once in like 20 years. So
Yeah, we get it every so often. Kind of. So, where do you kind of look at the rest? Like, Nick mentioned the Central. Is there anything else? How soon are the Pirates going to start selling players? Do you wonder if they have anything to sell?
Dude, I don't know. The Pirates are so frustrating. I couldn't imagine being a fan of the Pirates because it's clear they're not about winning. It's clear that they don't want to win almost. It's so frustrating to watch the Pirates organization go about it. But I will tell you one thing that every baseball fan should be excited about is Brian Hayes. And unfortunately, first series of the year, the guy goes down, but he was my pick to win Rookie of the Year in the National League. And look, that guy's going to be a stud in the future, but they'll probably screw that up too.
I certainly will understand you didn't say Jonathan India. It's not like there's any other National League guys who could potentially win it right now.
How's Stevenson? How's Stevenson?
Yeah, those two are it. No one else. No Nico Horners, none of those guys. They're out.
Yeah.
Is Nico Horner still a rookie?
Is he? I think he might still be.
I mean, he came up in 2000. He might be like the third-year rookie. Is that possible? Because they didn't get enough. He came up for like 2 weeks at the end of 2019 when everyone was hurt on the Cubs.
That's right. He did, didn't he?
Like he came like from like Double-A. Like he was not even close to ready. Just like they were desperate.
Yeah. Guys, anything you want to touch on before we close up shop here? Any questions you might want to ask her?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, Ben, I thank you so much for giving us a few minutes of your time today, man, to kind of talk a little Reds baseball with us. Before we get out of here, before I let you sign off, we'll kind of give you a chance to shout out your pod, your social media, anywhere people can keep up with you. By all means, man, the floor is yours.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on, guys. It's been a blast, and I always find myself talking about the Reds because in my mind they're always ready to compete. So I and they're exciting. With everything going on earlier in the year, they were a blast to watch. So thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it. And yeah, my podcast is called Flippin' Bats. It's available anywhere you get your podcast, and it also has social handles that we on Twitter, Instagram. The episode is video also that comes out on YouTube. So it's been a blast, and I've had I just had Wade Miley on recently, fresh off his no-hitter, so that was fun to have him on. Had some awesome guests. Started with Tyler Glasnow. I've had Bernie Williams. I've had Jeff McNeil, Reese Hoskins. I have Walker Buehler coming on next week. So it's been a blast, and I'm excited to see where it goes for sure.
When's your brother coming on? I feel like that would be guest one, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've always very much so wanted to create my own path for myself and wanted to be successful in my own right. And look, I love him more than anything. And I'm super proud of him. But I want to build this thing because of me, and it's successful because of me, and then have him on at some point for sure.
That would be awesome. I'm sure with the Wade Miley interview, it probably went 25 minutes, being that it went very fast with Wade, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Ben, thanks again, man. We definitely appreciate it. And we'll be right back. We'll talk about what's coming up with the week for the ball club. Well, we just wrapped up with Ben Verlander. That was a lot of fun to have him on. Somehow we have had this podcast now, I think 12 episodes. We've had 2 really awesome national writers come and hang with us. So we're doing something right. I don't know what it is necessarily, but we're getting our name out there somehow. So let's kind of take some time, guys, and talk about the current state of the ball club because things are rough. When I texted you guys when my flight landed back from my honeymoon, the first thing Nick said to me was, "Glad you're back. Try to fix the Reds." And I said, I was score watching while I was gone, but I didn't see any games, so I didn't know what all was going on. But yeah, so obviously today rained out for reopening day. The last game we have, they lose by 2 touchdowns to the Phillies. how many games now have they given up 9 or more runs? I feel like it's too many. But
I have it right here. They have given up 10 or more runs. 7. 19, 17, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. Like not even just like 10. Like,
Yikes.
yeah, because I remember too much that afternoon Giants game in the 4-game sweep when they just gave them, the one Cueto started against us. But obviously the hitting side of it, what you're getting from Winker and Castellanos. And then, like we talked about, Suarez is definitely getting some pep back in his step at the plate. But it seems like things are just kind of on the offensive side. We know Senzel's going to be out for a little while. Kind of a wait and see until you get everyone back. So I don't know where I'm at. I'm still cautiously optimistic about the offensive side. We know they can hit. We know they can score, especially when they're healthy. It's just kind of, like we've been saying all year, it's waiting for Luis Castillo to figure it out and waiting to find out the, group of guys in the bullpen you can trust. And I feel like we're still figuring all of that out very much so.
yeah, I mean, they're 4-4 in their last 8. I mean, it feels worse than I think it is right now,
Right.
probably. I mean, the Reds have had one great week, 2 really, really terrible weeks, and the rest has been fine. It's just, that second bad week, where they got swept by the Giants, lost 2 out of 3 of the Brewers. I mean, that's the difference of being right in the race and not right now. So I don't know. I mean, look, Flaherty's hurt. No one knows how long he's going to be out. That Cardinals rotation, it wasn't great before he was out. So, that could be a break for the Reds. I really the Cubs will look great right now, but that rotation, I mean, how is that going to hold up all summer? I mean, that is not a good rotation. I mean, the Pirates might have as good of a rotation. I mean, it's not good. So, I mean, the Brewers, they have the great rotation, but their lineup stinks. So I don't know. It's kind of one of these things, just hang around. The Reds are, like I said, we're talking with Ben, plenty of opportunities. I mean, you got 10 games coming up in the next 2 weeks against the Cardinals and Brewers. You go 7-3 in that, boom, you're right in the race. I'm not worried about how many games the Reds are behind the Cubs. I'm worried about how many games are behind the Cardinals and Brewers. I don't believe it.
Dodgers with a 6th spot in the first inning. That's nice.
Yeah, so the Reds would get to within 5.5 of the Cardinals, and they're playing 4 games against them. So you can do the math. I mean,
Yeah.
You win 3 of 4. That you pick up 2 games, you're 3.5 behind them. So there a lot of games left, a lot of division games left. I look at that Reds rotation and I go, they get they get Votto and Moustakas back. I mean, that's a rotation that can put you on a win streak, especially when you're playing teams that aren't going to have as good pitching. The bullpen's definitely the real concerning thing, I think, right now.
Yeah, and
there's 2 options right now. I mean, maybe Doolittle. I mean, 2.5. I don't know. I mean, they're not blowing games. They're not blowing games with leads.
Right.
I mean, they're when they're really bad, they're really bad. I mean, if and I know everyone's, why isn't David Bell using TJ Antone more? Man, you're saving him because you can't afford to lose these games that you're supposed to win. The games that you have a 2-run lead, you can't lose those games. You don't have the margin for error. So, I don't know.
Yeah, TJ Antone can't pitch 4 innings a game. I don't know if Reds fans understand this or not. It doesn't work out of the, whether a starter or a reliever, it doesn't work. And I honestly, I listened a little bit to what you guys talked about last week. Carlos made the point of the season's going the way it is at the moment where things start to feel like it's going downhill. You got to, it's only a matter of time for he's in the rotation. And I agree with that, completely agree with that. But it's once he goes to the rotation, what does happen to your bullpen? We've talked about this all season. What are you putting in there? Because Michael Feliz was a nice pickup for how little you got for him. He's had some struggling outings, obviously, but is this something where we expect when Michael Lorenzen comes back, do we ease him in the way the A's are doing with Jesus Luzardo right now, where he's pitching out of the bullpen? Different story though, because the A's are awesome. But what do people want? What do we expect this? How do we put this back together? I don't know.
I don't understand that bullpen, man. It's Ciano Perez is the only guy who keeps getting called up and sitting back down, it seems like. Like, what's there in AAA? Like, there's got to be some.
Wasteland.
I mean, God
There's nothing
Almighty!
there.
Like, I don't know. I'm such a roller coaster on the bullpen. Oh yeah, Amir's doing great. He's our third best option. Oh shit, Amir ain't worth it right now. Like, I mean, it's like, what do you do with Antone? Nobody knows. There's no answer for it.
I just and too with Antone is okay. So if the Reds were completely out of it, I would say screw the bullpen. They can lose every game. Put Antone in the rotation, see what he's got. But who's getting bumped out of the rotation when Green and Lodolo come up?
Right.
You can't bump Luis Castillo out of the rotation. You can't bump Sonny Gray out of the rotation. You can't bump Tyler Mahle out of the rotation. Green Lodolo, there's 5. You have Gutierrez and Santillan. I mean, I guess you could try to make them relievers, but I mean, you have, I feel, 7 quality starting pitching options over through next year, into next year. I don't know. I mean, Anto's 3rd on the Reds in wins above replacement among pitchers. He's ahead of Sonny Gray right now, so they are still getting value out of him. It might not, be as sexy as people want, but I mean, he's still the 3rd most valuable, pitcher. I don't know.
I mean, I'm going to quote my good buddy who always says, you can't have enough quality good players. So you can't have enough quality good starting pitchers, Nick.
Well, you can't, but you also can't have enough good quality relievers either. So, I mean, I mean, I guess relievers are more, easier to. I don't know. I don't know what the right decision is. Usually I feel like I have a strong gut opinion, whether it's right or wrong. Usually I have some like strong feeling. I don't have a strong feeling on him. I don't know what the right move is. They are pitching in multiple innings though. It's a lot different than like a Aroldis Chapman. Everyone wants to go, oh, the Reds wasted Aroldis Chapman. Aroldis Chapman was pitching the 9th inning, 3-0 games a lot of times. Like this is the totally different situation. So I feel like you have to at least look at it from that perspective, whether you like it or not.
I mean, if they try to move him to the rotation now, so say he'd become a legit starter in a month. So from a month from now, and he pitches, we'll say above average, slightly above average, would he be worth more with that limited amount of time left than what he is being a reliever from here on out, being a borderline all-star?
I don't know. And I know we've talked about this before. His numbers are not going to be as good as a starting pitcher. Like his ERA is going to go up. Unless he's Jacob deGrom, which I don't think he is. I mean, I think he's really, really good, but his numbers are going to go up. So that value scale, well, yeah, he's going to be pitching more innings. Those innings aren't going to be as kind of like I can use my hands for this. This is kind of different.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like so I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I don't either, man. It's just a hard thing to figure out. And like, I get it. He's exciting. And when he comes in a game, like you feel comfortable when he's in a game. And, and I kind of mentioned the last episode I did before I left is like, people are like, well, look what he did in Colorado. And it's like, yeah, he got the outs, but Shogo Akiyama maybe made the catch of the year until Castellanos' catch Monday in Philly. And they turned one of the greatest double plays I've ever seen to win the game the next day. So it's like, he's been awesome, but he's also gotten probably the defensive support Luis Castillo hasn't gotten this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because I feel like when you look at and I know I joke with you, Nick, but like I'm with you. Like when you look at this team, like the bullpen's obviously a big hole. Trying to figure out like where the ups and downs of the rotation. I don't think Sonny Gray is as bad as his 4 2/3 outing yesterday by any means. I think those games just happened because he just had a game the other night where he was really spectacular. Wade Miley was really good yesterday, where he was like getting up at a pitch count. On Monday and just got through like that 6th inning really well. Obviously the corner outfielders, you're set there. And I really feel comfortable about, if Joey's in AAA, like I can't imagine he's not too far away from being up. I know, it's probably hard to catch right now with a broken finger, but if he feels comfortable swinging the bat, I think that's all the Reds probably care about at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he won't be there very long.
Yeah, they had said the best case scenario was St. Louis, but I feel like with the rain out, I don't. And why would you make him fly to St. Louis? They're home from Milwaukee, right?
Yeah, they're home for Milwaukee and Colorado next week.
Yeah, it seems like just hold off, wait for the home stand. You can be at home and come back. I don't necessarily need to rush him.
Right. I'd rather have him for, July, August, September than make sure we have him before they go to San Diego in 2 weeks if, they don't need him just yet. Next, you've got the Rockies coming up next weekend, who are literally, like I joked about, are on pace to be the worst road team in Major League history. So that's something you have to feel confident about. But other than that, June's pretty brutal schedule wise. You've got the St. Louis series, you've got Milwaukee, you go to San Diego. You got 2 games with Minnesota, who are very much underperforming. I think they're probably getting closer and closer to being sellers as well. And then you come home then the month with the Braves and the Padres, and the Braves have been very up and down, minus Acuna. So, it's a chance where they had a rough May, but the season's not over. They definitely could make something happen here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I mean, I think the schedule's. I think it's probably average the next up until like the All-Star break. I don't. I mean, the 4 games against the Padres are obviously there were 7 games total against the Padres for the All-Star break. Those are the most concerned. But Atlanta's pitching rotation's really, really bad right now. They got everyone hurt. Colorado on the road, and then Milwaukee and St. Louis. When we came into the season, we thought the Cardinals, the Brewers, the Cubs, the Reds, we thought they were all close to 500 teams. Those teams are all well above 500 right now. Is this where they kind of come back to earth? Again, the Cardinals without Flaherty, that's they're definitely a lot less scary, I guess. And I don't know, the Cardinals bullpen, I think, is getting all the luck that the Reds isn't. They're walking everyone. And it's just how long does that that kind of stuff hold up? And I don't know. It's going to just be one of these really, really weird seasons where there's every team in the division is flawed, and we don't know how all these pitchers are going to hold up this year with the 60-game season last year. I just think there's so many unknowns. If the Reds can just get inch a couple games closer and hang around, I think they'll always have a chance if they can just get a little bit.
Well, I mean, you kind of talked about the Cardinals and the luck and everything like that. Cody Bellinger just hit a grand slam to make it an 11.
Oh my goodness!
Heading.
11-1.
Yeah.
It should count as 2 losses.
Yeah.
I mean, the Reds are going to be 5.5 behind the Cardinals with a 4-game series in front of them. And I think any reasonable person would say the Cardinals, maybe the Brewers, are the favorites, even though the Cubs are in first. So, I mean, that's the target, man. You get closer to the Cardinals, and you're going to make this an interesting summer, which honestly, I think most of us right now would sign me up for an interesting summer. Sign me up for the Reds being in it in September.
Yeah, because once the Lakers get eliminated the next couple of days, I need something. So
LeBron's not losing at home in Game 6, and he's not losing Game 7. Come on, Tim. It does this so many times. Oh, this is it. This is the end. And I watched LeBron look completely dead against the Pacers and the Celtics.
If they lose, I'm not getting on Twitter. I'm definitely blocking Joey on my text message contact.
Let's talk real quick. I want to get into a couple more things before we get out of here.
We got to talk about Suarez. We're talking about Suarez.
Oh, yeah, that's that. And I was going to talk about Suarez and Gutierrez. I want to talk about those two.
Too excited.
Yes. So, Nick, yes, please, by all means. I know you've been waiting all year for some happy and Henry Suarez stuff. So, we talked about it earlier. He got moved to the top of the order. His approach hasn't necessarily changed whatsoever. And things are working out for him so far. So it's been awesome to see, and I'm really happy to see him kind of getting that swing back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted out. I don't think the move to the leadoff was the magical fix. I think it's just David Bell showing faith in a guy that's been good. Players that have been good for year after year after year don't typically just completely fall off a cliff at once. Sometimes it happens, but it's not very often. Usually there's some sort of decline there. Is Suarez the 900 OPS guy? I don't think so. But I think Suarez is still a well above average hitter. He's going to hit a lot of home runs. He's still hitting home runs. And the thing that I've been most encouraged with has been his plate discipline. I don't know if that's the leadoff spot or if that's just he's also maybe getting a little bit more respected because when you see your teammate give up a ball hit onto the street in Chicago, you're gonna pitch him a little different,
Yeah.
So I think some of that can just be chalked up to okay, he's more of a threat now. We have to pitch him a little more carefully. So yeah. I mean, I think he's still going to be a good player. Not gonna. I don't think he's going to be 2019 Suarez, but the Reds don't need 2019 Suarez.
No?
They need 2020 Suarez after the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think too, like we talked about this whole, quite a bit this episode is when these guys start coming back from their injuries, I think that helps the team out a lot too. Look at Nick with the Corona Seltzer tonight. I like it. I like it. This is fun seeing your guys' faces when we record. It's really fun. I wish I was in my baseball room right now. So I'm still putting my pod studio together, as you can see behind me. I still have my classic Space Jam figurines back there.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, my classic MJ Space Jam doll. I cannot wait for my Space Jam 2 ones. So
yeah, going back to Suarez on seeing him like coming around, like the way he's taking pitches as a pitcher, I'm like, he's recognizing stuff now. Like it's coming. Get ready, because I mean him spitting on balls, even some of the called strikes that haven't been called strikes or that haven't been real strikes, he's laying off of them. So it's a really good sign. And if I was pitching and I would see that, I'd be like, okay, let's start to nibble a little bit more. And then that's where younger pitchers start to make mistakes when they try to nibble.
Yeah, you see it with like the entire Reds bullpen.
Yeah.
That's when they, when they're too cute, that's when they get burned. Amir Garrett, if he throws the first pitch strike, he's almost done. At some point, Castellanos is probably going to come down to earth a little bit, and you hope Suarez can. Yeah. So.
My headphones just died, so this is going to be pretty fun.
You not hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was while you were talking, all of a sudden it just like went out, and I was like, "Ah, shit."
You missed a really, really riveting conversation.
Yeah. So actually, Carlos, you brought up the point about like Suarez seeing pitches and things like that, and like Nick brings up the point of like younger guys, and when you get cute, it's when things get trouble. With what you're seeing from Nick Castellanos in this hit streak, how do you pitch this guy right now? Because you can't pound the strike zone because he's hitting everything in the strike zone right now. I know he's not necessarily he's not reaching out of the strike zone either, which is pretty impressive. He's not like chasing balls in the dirt. He's just kind of making things happen with the bat. Like, how the hell do you pitch a guy like that in these circumstances?
You can't walk him with Naquin on deck.
No, you can't.
I'm out.
I had to get that in there.
I mean, you got to get ahead early. You got to get strike one, and then it's sliders away, it's split fingers away, it's your changeup away, just everything's soft away. But then if you're in Cincinnati, be careful going away.
Just you got to hope that first pitch doesn't end up in the seats.
Yeah, you got to have confidence and throw it, and if he hits it for a single, fine, but just try to keep away from the extra base hits. And you got to get ahead early on somebody who's hot.
Yeah, I know that's a lot easier said than done. Let's talk a little bit quick about Vladimir Gutierrez. Obviously made his debut last Friday. and a spot start, and he's going to be pitching tomorrow. Now it looks like in the start the St. Louis series after the rain out today. 5 innings, 3 strikeouts, gave up 1 run. They lose 1-0. Obviously I understand whether, it's his first major league start, but going back and seeing what I did, because, I was out of town. So kind of like watched like the condensed game on my phone. I was really impressed with how much he wasn't afraid to throw strikes. I think, you saw like he attacked and he attacked quickly. I know, like I said, he gave up 1 run and, his team didn't get him anything. We're 0 for and runners in scoring position for a bit. But judging a guy, obviously appearance 1, he definitely earned start 2. What did you guys kind of take away from his start?
What I saw was just like you said. I mean, he's pumping the zone, throwing strikes. I mean, that's what you need out of somebody like him. That's just coming up as a call up, one number 4, number 5 guy filling in, throw strikes. That's all that your manager right now is asking you to do. Throw strikes. Let our defense work, and give us a chance. Keep us in the game. That's all he's got to do. Keep them in the game. I'd say any start by him the next couple of weeks is 3 runs or less, maybe 4 runs or less. I mean that's be a quality start. I hate how quality starts are 6 innings, 3 runs. I'm like, that's giving up a run every other inning. But anyway, still 3 runs, 5, 6 innings. That's a hell of a start.
Yeah, I mean, the wind was really, really blowing in his start. So, I mean, I don't want to get too crazy excited, but to his credit, he threw strikes. He, whether that was intentional because the wind was, blowing in and they're like, hey, dude, pump the zone. Like, they can't hit you out of the ballpark. Well, they got 1, but it's really, really, really hard. Yeah, credit him. And he showed a lot of confidence. Definitely, I mean, you could definitely just see the upside over like those strikes. Carlos, I'm interested on your take because I've never had a really strong take on this because I don't feel like I have any real opinion or knowledge on this. How do you feel about the Reds not skipping Gutierrez with the opportunity, and then they have an off day on Monday? They could have got Gray into the series against the Brewers. What do you think about that? And then that also then, bumps Castillo back a day that he was supposed to be starting. Do you think that has any impact on either one of those guys?
I mean, if anything, I think it's better for Luis, maybe. I mean,
Okay.
Sonny he seems to be rolling, throwing well. I know his last outing wasn't his best, but he still had, quality pitches, a lot of some good innings out there. But yeah, I mean, I didn't look at it that way that he was going to miss the Brewers, so that kind of stinks. And I think now that you brought that up,
Gray misses the Cardinals. They could have gone Castillo, Miley, Gray if they skipped Gutierrez.
Oh, okay. They got 4.
Instead, Gray is starting the first game against the Brewers.
Okay, yeah, then definitely. I mean, wish they would have done that, but I think that just kind of shows. I'm guessing the pitching coach made the call on that one right there.
And it might also be more this season. Any chance you can get away with protecting your starters, giving them more rest, maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe that's part of their plan. Maybe that's a strategic plan this year. I mean, look, Gutierrez is going to pitch in both of these next 2 series. Going to pitch against the Cardinals, going to pitch against the Brewers. So he's going to have big starts, but they'll have Gray and Castillo against the Brewers.
Yeah, and I need a 6 inning, 7 innings shutout ball from Castillo. I want to see it, and I want to go crazy on Twitter for it. Yeah. My Twitter fingers are ready; they're waiting.
He's coming, man. He's coming. The hard hit contact has definitely been down the last couple starts. Defense again just killed him against the Cubs, and I know like his first 2 runs were unearned, and I think people go, well, they weren't unearned runs. but that's just so many extra pitches he has to throw. I mean, that
Yeah.
he just completely throws off his start. And the guy just get good defense behind him, and just that one light to start. Man, against the Cardinals, that would be the team to do it.
Yeah, I've played with some guys, several guys actually, who have made a statement that if a pitcher is really good, gets a lot of swings and misses, it's really hard to play defense behind them because you get so many awkward balls that are hit off the bat. Some like, cued off the bat, you get crazy rolls, you get, them reaching out for balls and putting them in play somehow. And you're just not making routine plays. You're having to make something that you don't normally make. And for somebody like, like Suarez, who's out of position whenever he was playing short, that makes it that much harder. And it was just, I always thought that was interesting. I never thought of it like, somebody like Castillo, who's get so many soft hit balls off of his changeup, that makes it tough.
I almost kind of feel like, and I'm not comparing them as people, so please, if anyone listens to this is not what I'm saying. And, I like to compare like the early decade Reds from last month because those teams were so fun. But 2012, those first 2 months where Matt Latos really struggled. Do you remember those when it's like he couldn't get into it like a sixth inning, and if he did, he had a blow up inning? It almost kind of feels like Luis Castillo kind of had a little bit of that going. And if you remember from like June on, Latos was like incredible. He was so good. And I almost kind of feel like that's coming for him, for Luis Castillo. That is like, it just kind of feels like you said, Nick, like the softball race is kind of going up more and more. And he's kind of, he had that 10 strikeout game against the Giants. And I really, was it last week? He was doing really well until he had one inning that got away from him. So I almost, again, I'm not comparing Matt Latos and Luis Castillo as humans. We're very well aware they are not the same human by any means. But, and I think Luis Castillo definitely is a more talented pitcher career wise for sure. But, I kind of just feel like this is where Luis Castillo is heading, and I think it's going to be something where, maybe the ERA won't look pretty for another couple months, maybe for another month or so, but it's coming. It's coming around.
That's a great comp, Tim. Yeah, Matt Latos might literally be my least favorite Red in team history. But Matt Latos, to your point, June 18th. So that's still 16 days from now. Matt Latos had a 5.20 ERA, and then he completely carried the Reds. Not that they really even needed it because they easily. But he just dominated the rest of that season. Outside of one start.
Matt Latos, talk about the.
Oh boy.
Whenever people ask me all the time, like, how many great players did you play with that never made it? Like, a lot. And the reason why is because of their work ethic and what they did off the field and what they ate, what they put in their body, all that kind of stuff. And that was him, because I saw him and I was teammates with him in AA back here in San Antonio. Actually, after I got sent down, it was 2009, I believe. And I had him and Kluber on the same team. Jeez. Latos was nasty. Like in the Texas League, he was nasty. I was like, holy cow, this kid. But then like I kept seeing him like going out, coming home late, like, when we're on the road, I'm like, oh, what are you doing, man? Stop it. You're literally throwing away millions of dollars with what you're doing. Like he could have been so good. He had really good stuff, a tall and an awkward arm angle. But it is what it is. That's enough of Matt Latos. Sorry.
One of the better Reds trades in the last, 10 years is getting Disco for him. Like, let's call it what it is.
Well, they made a great trade to get him too.
Yeah,
what did they give up to get him?
They did give up Yasmani Grandal, but Grandal never materialized until his time with the Reds would have been done. So Grandal, Volquez, Boxberger,
and Yonder Alonso.
Yeah, Yonder Alonso. Yonder Alonso was, I think, probably the biggest piece of that trade.
Yeah. Because you remember when he came up in 11, they were like, should they sign Votto or keep Alonso? And we were like,
there was talk of moving Votto to left field to accommodate Alonso.
I remember that.
You want to talk about maybe the worst aging conversation of all time. Yeah. Okay, so I got a stat for you because you got me on this Latos train. So this is through June 18th. So again, we're 16 days further than we are now that season. Latos had a 5.20 ERA. Castillo 7.22, but the fielding and depending pitching. So taking away the defense, what you've actually earned. Castillo's at 4.77 right now. Latos was at 5.00. So again, I mean, that's just, it turned around in a hurry. You know, I think Luis Castillo is going to have a monster second half. I believe it. You know, there's just no reason to think he won't. You know, it's not a Wade Miley, you're hoping he can keep it up. You know, thing. This is a guy that you know, honestly, up until Castillo's last start of last year, remember he had a pretty mediocre start, gave a bunch of runs with the Twins. I think he was like in talks of finishing top 5 in the Cy Young last year before that.
Yeah.
I mean, his ERA was like, I think, 3rd in the league or something like that. So yeah, I just too much talent for it not to material.
Yeah, I agree. So before we get out of here, I did manage to go this whole episode without talking about Jonathan India. So props to Tim. Way to go.
Hey, India's been plate discipline. You know, he's not hitting for power yet, but the plate discipline, he's got above 8% walk rate. I've just been thoroughly impressed with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take it. I want to take a second here because, like we said, it is the anniversary of our good friend Carlos Guevara's major league debut. And he did send us the video today in a text where he had a little baby face assassin look going in his first debut. So I did congratulate on your anniversary already, but kind of wanted to just talk about it real quick. So, you know, take us through a little bit if you want to. If you're not, we'll just end the show here. But your big league debut, being informed you're getting called up, getting into getting your bullpen session and before you're brought into the game. What was all that like for you this day 13 years ago?
It was wild because I got called up the day before, and the team was in San Francisco. I was in Portland, and I remember the manager Rick Burleson calling me pretty early in the morning to let me know I got called up. I kind of thought he was screwing with me because I hadn't had enough rehab outings yet. I hadn't completed my schedule for my rehab, and I was, we kind of had a joking relationship, and I kind of thought he was messing with me. It's like, no, you're going. I'm like, holy shit, I've got to iron my shirt. That was the first thing that came to mind. And so, you make the phone calls, let the family know, let my fiance at the time, who's not my wife, let her know, hey, get on a plane. We're going to meet the team in San Francisco. I want you to be there just in case I pitch. So, get on a plane, show up to San Francisco. It was a day game. It was like the 4th inning. And so I show up. So I'm just like rushed automatically. Like somebody's waiting for me at the airport. I got my bag. I mean, it was like a scene out of a movie, just rushing me to the entrance, to the front gate in San Francisco. Get out. There's nobody in the locker room. There's clubhouse attendants putting everything away. And there's my jersey hanging there. And I didn't even get like the chance to be like, holy shit, I made it. I'm here. Check this out. They're like, all right, get dressed out and go sit next to the pitching coach. He's on the bench waiting you to brief you in on, the whatever pitching sequence or kind of how we're attacking hitters. I'm like, okay, so get dressed real quick. And I'm out there and, he's like, take a half inning and then come find me. Okay. So I'm just sitting there kind of looking, I knew the players just through spring training. That's all that I knew them because I had been with the Reds, my entire career until that spring training. So I barely knew them. And it's kind of like, hey guys, it's me again. And so, I talked to the pitching coach for a little bit, and then, I think it was a full inning later. Like, our starter was throwing well. We were winning 5-0. It was Josh Banks on the mound. He was throwing well. Then he walked a guy, gave up a hit, gave up another hit. Bases are loaded, and there was no bullpen in San Francisco yet, so we were all on the bench. And they're like, Guevara, go get loose. I'm like, what? I just got here.
You're getting loose on the field, like
I'm like, oh shit. So like I walked down there to the bullpen, and funny thing is it happened to be Gay Appreciation Weekend in San Francisco. And so like whatever, I'm sitting there like I'm warming up, and these guys just start screwing with me. Like they know, they can see like I'm not offended by it, like I don't care. Like I'm trying to focus. It's my first big league outing. I'm trying to warm up, and these guys are telling me how nice my ass looks in my pants. I'm like, you sons of bitches, you don't understand what's going through my head right now. Just give me some time. But luckily he got out of it. I think he gave up maybe 1 or 2 runs, and then they, at the end they brought it into the back end of the bullpen since they were only up by 3 runs. But then we go over to San Diego the next day, and it was just, my parents came. I saw them at the hotel. That was a really special moment. My dad's more of the quiet type, and so we basically just saw each other and like hugged and held on tight to each other. Something I'll never forget. It was just like, we made it. It wasn't that I made it. It was that we made it. All the sacrifices and everything that, everybody did for me. It was just like all in that hug. Like we did it. We made it. We're here. And then, I couldn't tell you that I remember the outing. I didn't feel like I was nervous while I was pitching. I just remember it being over, and I'm like walking back to the dugout because I struck out Fukudome for the 3rd out. I'm walking back, and I couldn't really feel my feet. I'm like, don't trip, don't trip, don't trip. And then, so that kind of sums it up.
Trevor Hoffman and Heath Bell were in that bullpen.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Pretty awesome.
Those are two of the better relievers over the last, couple decades.
Yeah, our lifetime at least.
Yeah, watching
2 legit closers.
Yeah, a couple of days later, I think Trevor had a close situation, and I still get chills on my forearm and my arms, like just thinking about it, how the crowd reacted. It was Hell's Bells came on. It was special.
Well, like I talk with you quite a bit in our text messages and stuff, like, your tenure, obviously, like in that little bit of time that you were in the majors, like you pitched in a lot of cool ass places. Like you got to do a lot of cool shit. Like I joke all the time, like you pitched at Yankee Stadium. Like that's pretty cool, man. Like,
yeah,
not many people could say like I pitched at Yankee Stadium, and you're someone who can. So
yeah, that was fun.
Was Greg Maddux on the roster?
Oh yeah, Mad Dog was there. I got some stories I can share off the air.
So, I mean, PV, Maddux, Chris Young, who was really, really good for a long time.
Such a cool guy.
Randy Wolf. I mean,
Tony
that's
Clark.
an incredible pitching staff.
Yeah, Randy Wolf is so funny.
Not the 2021 Reds bullpen. Not
so much.
A little better.
Not so much. Well, that's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that with us. I know it was when you said that to us today, I was like, well, I got to ask him about it on the show tonight. So, yeah, man, that's great. So let's go ahead and we're going to wrap this episode up of Late Night Reds Talk. This is a good one. I really enjoyed doing this one. I needed this to get back with you guys. I'm so excited to be back. I got one of these now, like you guys. So, yeah.
Man, legend.
Yeah, pretty exciting. So we're going to go ahead and get it out of here. We'll be back next week and hopefully talk about a nice series against the Redbirds to get ready for Game 3 of the Brewers. So everyone, thanks again. Have a great night. Thanks to Ben Verlander. That was incredible. So take it easy, everyone.